Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's good to be here today. Good to be back in Indianapolis. I want to spend a few moments talking about transformation, strength, power, boldness, and the Big Ten Conference. When I think about how far we've progressed these last few years, my heart is warmed with the so many people who have helped us to get here today. Our student athletes, our coaches, our chancellors, our presidents, our faculty athletic representatives, our senior women administrators, our fans have had so much to do with us being here today. I also want to take a moment to thank our Big Ten Conference staff for putting on another incredible Big Ten football media days here in Indianapolis. On a serious note, I do ask for your love, your support, your prayers for Becky Blank. Chancellor Blank, who concluded her tenure at the University of Wisconsin and was scheduled to become president of Northwestern University, is battling cancer. She's a special person. She's been great to this conference. She's been incredible to me. So please keep Becky, her husband Hans, and her daughter Emily in your prayers as she battles this awful, awful disease. Along those same lines, I just want to thank President Morton Shapiro, who's agreed to stay on at Northwestern University until they can find a new president. Morty and his wife Mimi and their entire family have been so gracious to Greta and I, and I'm so grateful for our relationship and for everything he's meant to Northwestern, to the Big Ten Conference, and to me personally. Today is a really special day because last year, as I stood on this podium, I made an announcement that we were starting a new fellowship in the Office of the Commissioner called the George and the Viola Talafaro Fellowship in honor of the iconic football player at Indiana University, George Talafaro. And if you haven't seen the BTN movie on him and his family, please watch it. But we're blessed here today with his beautiful daughters who become family. But we're really excited to announce that we've kept our promise and we have hired 4 new George and Viola Talafaro fellows who will start work in the Office of the Commissioner here next month, and they're here today. I see Adam Shibley, please stand, a former student athlete at the University of Michigan and Notre Dame University. Thank you, Adam. Eric Curry, a former student athlete at the University of Minnesota. Ariana Henderson, a former student athlete at Colorado University. And we have another member, Jalen Mason, who's a former student athlete from Rutgers, and she is traveling here now, has had some plane issues, but she'll be here this afternoon. What makes this so special is that they will have an opportunity to work with me, to work in our conference office, and to be able to build their career in college athletics. I also want to show a sense of gratitude to our bowl partners. I've seen many of them here today. I think we have 11 bowl partners here today. Our bowl partners are so incredibly special to us because what they do on a daily basis is provide the opportunity for our student athletes and their families to recognize and realize dreams by playing in these incredible bowls. So I just want to thank our bowl partners for everything that you do for the Big Ten Conference. I also want to thank Steve Hatchell, who I believe is here today. He's with the National Football Foundation. This is their 75th anniversary. Steve, thank you for everything that you do to make the game of football special to all of us. Our media partners, a special thank you, especially our partners from Fox and BTN, Eric Shanks, Mark Silverman, Larry Jones, Jordan Bazant. And I've seen even some of their on-air talent here. And at BTN, led by Francois McGillicuddy and the incredible BTN staff, thank you for everything that you do for the Big Ten Conference. Thank you for being a great partner. I know we'll have some new family members in our media partner list here sometime soon, but what Fox has done and what BTN does on a daily basis to tell the stories of our student athletes is absolutely incredible, and for that, I am grateful. I also am grateful for so many things today, one of which is that we're the only A5 conference that has all of our coaches back this year. We have all 14 of our football coaches back this year, which shows the strength, the continuity of our coaches and of our conference. Many of our head football coaches are father figures to our student athletes. They're parents. They lead with integrity, grit, honor, and I'm grateful for everything that they do on a daily basis. I know the impact that coaches have had in my life, and I look forward to having you all spend some time with them today. Another young man here, Barry Alvarez, I just want to thank him for everything that he's done. Barry joined us last year as a senior advisor for football. His advice, his counsel, his wisdom, his vision, being with me this past year has been incredible. And Barry, I'll forever be grateful for what you have done for the conference, for me personally, but more importantly, for college football as a whole. And congratulations that the new field at Camp Randall Stadium will be named after you, Barry Alvarez Field. And it's just a testament to what you and Cindy and your family stand for. So Barry, thank you for everything that you have done for college football at large. The Big Ten is born out of a desire for equity in sport. I'm excited that we have a meeting coming up with our Big Ten Parents Council, that we'll be able to talk with them about their ideas, listen to them, to get insight and advice of what we can do to even make this conference stronger. We also have formed a student athlete advisory and advocacy committee to listen to our student athletes even more, to understand what's important to them, what we as a conference can do better, how we can become stronger. I am so grateful every single day for our presidents and our chancellors and our athletic directors, many of whom are here today. And administrators, I think it went out for a minute. Our student athletes, our alumni, our fans around the world. I'm grateful for each and every one of these individuals who make the Big Ten special. And a special thank you to my wife, Greta, who's here today. She's been a rock of our family for over 30 years. She's raised our kids. She supported me. There have been many days that she's had to raise me. And I just thank her for being a strong woman, an ally, a supporter. And we are so very blessed and grateful that we have two incredible kids. Our daughter, Perry, who is in the final days of getting her master's at Northwestern University before she goes on to work in public affairs and public relations. And our son, Powers, who is also in the final stages of getting his master's in Michigan State University while he plays his final year of college football. So we are truly a Big Ten family. College athletics has meant so much to the Warren family since the 40s. My father was a student athlete at Arizona State in the 40s. My brother Morrison was a student athlete at Stanford in the 60s. I was a student athlete in the 80s. And then now our son Powers is a student athlete at Michigan State currently. So Greta, thank you for everything that you've meant to our family, and to my incredible executive assistant who we've worked together for the last 32 years. And Mae Davis, thank you for everything that you do to keep me upright and to keep me focused and moving in the right direction. The strength of the Big Ten Conference has our member institutions, our fans, our student athletes, our coaches, our alumni. And we are a conference born out of a desire to provide opportunities and equity in sport, to advance the lives of our student athletes through higher education. On January 11th of 1895, 7 college presidents came together at a hotel in downtown Chicago called the Palmer House and created a blueprint for college athletics. I can only imagine, and there are many days that I wake up and I think about what would it have been like to be in that meeting with those 7 college presidents when they formed the Big Ten Conference. And I'm sure that those college presidents would have been proud that when they saw the 100 individuals from the Big Ten Conference that we took to Selma, Alabama 2 weeks ago, to do the walk from Montgomery to Selma, to ask our student athletes and ask ourselves, what would we be willing to walk 54 miles for? What's important to us? We walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, black, white, male, female. We learned about Bloody Sunday. We visited museums. We heard a speech by Brian Stevenson. It's part of the Big Life series because in the Big Ten Conference, there's so much you can learn, not only in the classroom, but in these immersive experiences that you have in the world that we live in. This is something that we'll do every single day. This incredible time that we spent in Selma was healing, but I'm sure would have made those 7 presidents proud. It also would have made them proud that in June we had 75 individuals at the Big Ten Conference office to come together for a Women's Summit in honor of the 50th anniversary of gender equality and Title IX. And next week will be the first conference that we'll have the first ever volleyball media days at the Big Ten Network in downtown Chicago to honor our incredible women volleyball players. Our Big Ten Conference is committed to diversity and inclusion, not only in our conference office, but at every level in our organizations, the number of black men who serve as chancellor and presidents, women, people of color, athletic directors, head football coaches throughout our organizations. We've made a lot of progress. We will continually do better, but diversity and inclusion is incredibly important to me personally and to the Big Ten Conference. The Big Ten Conference was born out of a desire to be bold. We just announced the formation of our Big Ten Corporate Partnership entity, where we're bringing our rights back in-house. And our new head of that entity, Tyler Cooper, is here today. He just started yesterday. I'm honored to work with Tyler, to work with Francois from Big Ten Network, Jack Brown, to build an internal business where we can be a leader in corporate partnership and sponsorship activation for our existing partners, but the new partners that we will build over the next couple years. We are blessed now, especially with the addition of the University of California, Los Angeles and the University of Southern California, that we will have a footprint in the 3 major media markets from New York to Los Angeles to Chicago, which will allow us to be even bolder when it comes to corporate partnership and activation. So I look forward to building a very successful and robust business in that area. The Big Ten Conference was also born out of a desire to transform and be transformative. We are currently in a landscape in college athletics that is changing on a daily basis. But I will make it very clear in everything we say today, we do tomorrow and in the future, that the Big Ten Conference will not languish in bureaucracy. We will be innovative, we will be creative, we'll be bold, we'll be strong, we'll be powerful, and we'll be direct to make sure that we can prioritize what's important to our student athletes, what's important to our fans, what's important to our member institutions, what's important to our partners as we help shape and direct the future of college athletics. Name, image, and likeness is another area that we've been talking about this past year. I still strongly believe I'm a big proponent of name, image, and likeness. I am so grateful that many of our student athletes have been blessed with the ability to monetize their name, image, and likeness. That said, I am disappointed that we still have to operate with these various patchwork of laws from a state level standpoint. We need federal legislation to help put in some guardrails, to make it even more cleaner, to make sure these name, image, and likeness is not used as a recruiting inducement. So we have a lot of work to do even from a political standpoint. Expansion, as I alluded to a few minutes ago. We were very pleased with our 14 existing Big Ten institutions, but we are incredibly excited to welcome 2 new members in 2024 to the Big Ten Conference. The University of California at Los Angeles, who's led by Chancellor Gene Block, and the University of Southern California, who's led by President Carol Folt. These are 2 incredible academic and athletic institutions in a strong location in Los Angeles with great rich history and tradition, who are innovative, who are forward-thinking, who are bold, who will make us even stronger as a conference. And I look forward to welcoming these 2 fine institutions into the Big Ten Conference, to working with them, to making even our conference stronger than it already is. Because where we are right now, I'm focused on being realistic about the state of college athletics, about accepting our responsibility to shape college athletics, lead college athletics, fortify college athletics, to be bold, to be strong, to be innovative. And regarding expansion, I get asked every single day, what's next? It may include future expansion, but it will be done for the right reasons, at the right time, with our student athletes, academic and athletic empowerment at the center of any and all decisions that we will make regarding any further expansions. We will not expand just to expand. It will be strategic, it will add additional value to our conference, and it will provide a platform to even have our student athletes be put on a larger platform so they can build their careers, but also that they have an opportunity to grow and learn from an education and from an athletic standpoint. We are on a perpetual state of evaluating what's next for college athletics, what's next for the Big Ten Conference, what's next for college football playoff, what's next for the NCAA, what's next for the Transformation Committee, and what's next for the future of how we operate in this environment called college athletics. Our bowls, our partnerships. And I'm a big believer that the reason why we are dealing with a lot of issues that we're dealing with today is because the business of college athletics has grown faster than the structure and the governance of college athletics. Media rights, we've been working on those. I'm incredibly pleased of where we are. We have great opportunities. We're finalizing our deals, and I look forward to standing before you to make an announcement sometimes here sooner than later. So while the dollars are important to our member institutions, but it's really about the platform to provide financial stability to our member institutions so we can provide excellent health care, mental health services, life skills programs, and even educational experiences to our student athletes. But today is about football, it's about sports. We've been blessed these last couple years to have all types of Big Ten student athletes around the country in the NBA, WNBA, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, making a difference in the lives of professional sports. I've been blessed my 2 years as commissioner to have a team in the college football playoff, Ohio State in 2021 and Michigan in 2022. Last year, we had 10 of our Big Ten teams selected for bowl games, which is the most that we've ever had. We had 4 teams finish in the top 25 in the AP poll. We had 29 All-Americans. We had 48 individuals drafted in the NFL draft. And I pray for our NFL rookies every single day as they embark on a new career. So in closing here, I just want to thank everyone who sacrificed to make the Big Ten Conference special, to put us in a position of power, of authority, of dominance. We need to continue to be bold, to be strong, to have great vision, but most of all, to keep the health and well-being and the educational and athletic opportunities of our student athletes at the center of all our decisions. So to John Griffith, Tug Wilson, William Reed, Wayne Duke, and Jim Delaney, it's an honor and pleasure to serve as your commissioner. I'm looking forward to an incredible football season ahead. And I thank you in the media for everything you do to tell the stories, to amplify the voices of our student athletes, and for taking time for being with us here today. So I'll open the floor up for questions. And our first coach after we finish our questions will be Scott Frost from the University of Nebraska. So thank you.
Commissioner Warren, we have our first question right here.
Can you stand? Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you. Hi, Commissioner Warren. Ryan Celine from Greater Than the Game.
Hi, Ryan. Good seeing you again.
With everything changing in college football between NIL and conference expansion and other advances in the game, how do you balance sticking with your strategic plans to being adaptable?
Yeah, I think, Ryan, great questions. Good to see you again. Glad you're doing well. Some of the things that we have to keep in mind is we are in a perpetual state of change. We need to become comfortable in change. We need to embrace change. But all of these things that we're dealing with right now, that we had mapped those out even a couple years ago, even during my interview process, to make the plans, to create good partnerships, to stay focused, to keep the main thing, and that's to make sure that our student athletes, that we continually embrace them, empower them. So whether it's name, image, and likeness or transformation, we always want to take a leadership role in doing the right things for the right reasons for the right time for our student athletes. Ryan, thank you for the question.
We'll go over to this side here.
Kevin Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports.
Dennis,
Hi.
good to see you.
Nice to see you. I guess what sort of stewardship is there for you in the sense that when we talk about academics, there's an academic part of this, but when you add USC and UCLA, ripping apart a conference has been around for a century, huge academic ties to those schools. Mm-hmm. Athletes will be flying over 4 time zones, to the East Coast to play games and matches. I guess what sort of responsibility and stewardship is there for you and not only others in this expansion pursuit?
Dennis, that's a great question. Fortunately, I grew up in a household of educators. My father was a student athlete at Arizona State, was a college professor at Arizona State. My mother was a school teacher and librarian. So academics is incredibly important to Greta, to me, to my family, to what I do on a daily basis. It's something that I take very seriously. So because of that, I always think through the opportunities, as you alluded to, Dennis, of not of the issues or the problems, but what are the opportunities that now that we are across 4 time zones, now that we do have schools in 2024 that will reach from New York, New Jersey to Los Angeles, what are the different cultural elements in each one of those environments? Not only in the cities, but with their alumni, that we could even fortify our educational relationship with our student athletes. One of the good things, Dennis, that we're doing on a daily basis, we have 2 years now to plan. We have built a Big Ten kind of readiness committee that we'll activate here to start working with USC and UCLA to get ideas as far as what we can do. We have 2 of our universities at Northwestern and Nebraska going to Dublin to play a football game. How many young students, forget about sports, but in college have an opportunity to travel to Dublin? And so because of that, I'm so proud of what Nebraska and Northwestern are doing. They're amplifying that trip to be able to learn. So I look at it as not a negative. I look at it as a positive from an academic standpoint. And what we will do is we'll work through these next 2 years from a scheduling component to make sure that we create the environment that's most healthy and holistic for our student athletes, which is one of the reasons why I've started the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, to be able to listen to them to say what's important. So Dennis, thank you for the question, but it's something that's top of mind for me every single day.
Just a reminder to please stand before you identify yourself and your outlet. We'll go right here in the front.
Ben Bulch, Los Angeles Times.
Hi, Ben.
Hi. So many questions with USC and UCLA coming on board. Can you tell us the target that you're looking for that media rights contract as far as the total value? And also, will USC and UCLA get a full share of conference revenue distribution right off the bat, or will they have to kind of ramp up to get there?
Yeah, so the target that we're looking for, we're still working through that. I don't want to guess what that would be. I know we'll reach that decision here pretty quickly. But as I said, even regardless of the size of the deal, the thing I'm most excited about during these negotiations have been the creativity of what we're going to be able to deliver to our fans and to our student athletes and to our families. So, you know, when you think an opportunity to be able to deliver content, and Ben, I always talk about my focus every day is to make sure we deliver content to our fans from age 5 to 105, because people consume content differently. We have nearly 7 million alumni around the world. And so I'm very conscientious from these media partners standpoint, not to focus on the money, you know, although that we'll be blessed financially, but of how we can deliver content in a way that has never been delivered in college athletics ever before, you know, which is critically, you know, important from that standpoint. And yes, USC and UCLA will come in as full members. We think that's important for various reasons. They bring a lot of value to our relationship. They bring a lot of panache to our relationship, and we look forward to welcoming them into the Big Ten family here in 2024. There's a lot of work to be done between now and then. Thank you for your question.
Over here.
Hi, Kevin. Lane Higgins from the Wall Street Journal.
Hi, Lane.
I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on playoff expansion, given that we are in an environment where the college football conferences are maybe changing, and obviously you had very strong opinions on the last iteration that did not go through. So what sort of model would you like to see in regard to automatic qualifiers or the Big Ten's role in that kind of system?
Yeah, Lane, thank you for your question. And I'm 100% supportive of college football playoff expansion. I'm excited that we now will have some new members in the room who will have very creative ideas. Even in the Big Ten Conference, our new presidential representative will be Dr. Christina Johnson, the president at The Ohio State University, who she was a student athlete herself at Stanford. She's a businesswoman, has over 100 patents from a business standpoint, incredible leader. So to be able to get her ideas as far as what format is best, I'm looking forward to working with her. And then we have a new commissioner, Brett Yormark, in the Big 12 Conference, who's replacing Bob Bowlesby. And, you know, Brett is a marketing wizard, very innovative. And so I'm excited. We have meetings coming up in September and October to be able to talk about these issues. I'm 100% supportive for college football playoff expansion. You know, what is that right number? We'll figure it out. I'm confident we will get college football playoff expansion resolved. I still feel strongly that we need to open it up to have multiple media partners that we need to have from the college football playoff standpoint. We need to take a holistic view. We need to make sure we protect some of the critical bowl relationships. And so as we work through all these, whether it's automatic qualifier, whatever the case may be, I'm confident as we get these new individuals in the room, get these issues on the table, that we'll be able to reach some resolution. And again, make sure we ask ourselves the right questions for the right reasons at the right time for our student athletes and our fans. But I look forward to the day that we can expand the college football playoff, and I'm confident that it will happen. Thank you, Lane.
Over here on the right. On my.
Hey, Kevin. Tom Bruce, Sports Illustrated, Indiana.
Hi, Tom.
It's been about a year now since you've established some committees that have dealt with mental health issues for student athletes and such. Two-part question. One, how do you feel all of that has gone so far? And two, have you done enough as a conference, you think, to spread the message and the word, not only to student athletes who need help, but others around them as well, family members and such?
Tom, thank you for raising that question. Mental health is top of mind for me. I think we've done a really good job of bringing visibility to mental health and wellness. and it's something I'm passionate about. We've had some conversations, internally. We have a committee. We have amplified the committee. We've provided the Calm app to all of our student athletes, coaches, administrators in the Big Ten Conference. The number of active sessions are really incredible when you see the numbers. But it's a concern of mine. We've done a lot, but this is something that I think about every single day, Tom, that we can do even more. It's an issue in our country. I'm so concerned about the mental health and wellness for our young people on our campuses, especially our student athletes. It's challenging to be a student athlete in this environment between social media and the physical demands, the academic demands. So I feel that we've had a good start. We've done a good job, but there's so much more that we can do, but we're working on it every single day to amplify and bring awareness to this issue. And so I look forward to making sure that we continually be the change agent in college athletics to move the dial in the right direction. So thank you for raising that question on a very, very important subject.
Just so you know, I'm keeping a mental track of where the questions are. We're going in order here. We're going to go right here.
Hi, Kevin. Doug Maurice with Cleveland.com.
Yes, Doug, good seeing you again.
Good to see you. You guys are making a bunch of money, and you're going to start making even more money. As you increase your revenue, how much are you anticipating and preparing for the day when you will directly share that revenue with players? And are you willing to talk to players at this point about that idea and start maybe pushing that forward?
Doug, one of the reasons why we're forming our Student Athlete Advisory and Advocacy Committee is just to be able to have discussions not only about money, but about environment. I'm fortunate because Greta and I are the parents of 2 former college student athletes, but 1 current student athlete. So a lot of the discussions that we're blessed to have around the dinner table center around what we can do to make sure that we're creating the best college athletic experience for our student athletes. So I've already started some dialogue with our student athletes. We're going to amplify that committee here quickly. I want to hear it from them. I want to be a great listener to figure out what is important to them. It's so easy to talk about the money and share money, but what does that really mean? And I just want to make sure that I listen and learn and to be able to have big ears and a small mouth to truly understand what's important to them. And that's going to be one of the topical areas when we have our first Parents Council meeting here coming up later this year, next month in August. I think it's actually next week. And so thank you for raising that question. It's a topic I think about on a daily basis. And I look forward for the Big Ten Conference to be bold and a leader in that area as we work through what's right for our student athletes.
We'll go back here.
Good morning, Commissioner. Brandon Marcello, 24/7 Sports, right here on your right in the back.
Okay.
Right here.
All right, I
there
see
you
you.
go. There
All
you
right,
go.
Good to see you. We got the similar barber.
Hey,
All right.
bald is life.
I love it.
So, in the wake of everything that's happened with college football realignment and expansion over this last calendar year, and speaking to your colleagues, the other commissioners, what have your conversations been like in this environment? Because it is human nature when things like this are happening, surprising news, to go, what else is this person working on or hiding, or how does that affect a relationship? And as an extension of that, in the future of college sports and particularly college football, do you believe that the current structure with the 5 Power 5, including the Pac-12, will still be part of the big picture of major college football in the future?
Thank you for your question. I'm a big believer, and I've been this way from my first memory as a child. I was the one that always asked why. Not only why, but then why not? And so coming into college athletics, there were some opportunities that just seemed readily apparent that existed that we could build to make the game of college football and all of our college athletic competitions even stronger. So where expansion goes, I don't know. Where our conference realignment, I mean, look what's happened over this last year. It's morphed and grown in a different direction. I do know this. It is important for all of us in business to recognize that we're in a time of change. And I think there's 2 types of people in the world, that they look at change as it's a problem, or they look at change as an opportunity. And I'm one of those individuals that when change occurs, I get excited about it, that it really is an opportunity for us to do a lot of things that people have thought about, but maybe have been a little bit reticent to do. And so I'm embracing change. I'm going to be very aggressive. I've been that way my entire career. And I just want to make sure we build an environment, because our student athletes and our fans and our universities deserve that. And so I just want to make sure that we're aggressive of how we build this. We got to do it the right way, for the right reasons at the right time. But I think we're going to look back over this period, and we're in a stage of probably about a 5-year period of change. I'm oftentimes reminded when I drive, and when I was a student at the University of Notre Dame Law School, when I would go to Chicago and go back to South 10, there's a Sears and Roebuck building on the highway that you see when you go from South Bend to Chicago. And I've pointed that out to my kids. I've pointed it out to many people who've been in the car with me before. As a young person, born in the 60s, I remember those days that it was a happy day when my parents would bring us a Sears and Roebuck catalog to have us pick our birthday gifts out of. And we would be excited to order those. Those catalogs aren't in existence anymore. Sears and Roebuck is not in existence anymore. And so I think it's important for us to put very creative, aggressive, bold minds in a room together. And fortunately, I have colleagues here in the Big Ten Conference to think about these ideas. I don't want to be Sears and Roebuck. And I want to make sure that we not only make the right decisions, that what's right now for our student athletes and for our games, and our competitions and their academic opportunities and our fans, but I want to make decisions that when we look back 30 years from now, that people will say that the Big Ten Conference was ahead of the curve in making these decisions. And so that's what I think about every day. That's what I think about from a partnership standpoint. That's why I'm grateful for BTN and Fox, and I'm grateful for these new media partners. I'm grateful for USC and UCLA. So it's important for us to make sure we take care of our 14 schools, bring in our 2 new family members, but to be really forward-thinking and think way over the horizon and think what our decisions will have an impact on this thing we call college athletics the next 30, 40, 50 years from now. So thank you for your question.
We're going to go in the back over here. We've got time for, I think, about 3 more, so I apologize to the folks that we're not going to get to.
Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, Kevin. Good
Hi,
to
Mike.
see you.
Good seeing
And
you.
That was a great question because it was mine.
Okay.
So I will ask you about.
Those are always the best questions. Yeah.
I will ask you about basically how did the SC UCLA element develop? What were your initial thoughts? And what do you see the conference getting out of that relationship beyond just a fabulous market? What do you think the league can get from it?
I mean, I grew up in Arizona. I grew up when the Pac-12 was the Pac-8, the Pac-10, and now the Pac-12. My father was a football student athlete at Arizona State. My brother was at Stanford. I grew up on the West Coast. And but the decision-making process, even before I accepted the job, even in my materials that I prepared to accept the job, expansion was in there. And I think we had to be forward-thinking as far as what we needed to do, back to the answer that I just answered. And what do I think it brings more to the table even than athletics? Athletics, quite naturally, is a big component of it, but academics is incredibly important. You look at some of the alumni from USC, you know, the Steven Spielbergs, the UCLA, Jackie Robinson, Jackie Joyner-Kersee, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Stan Smith from USC. You think of all the different positive, powerful alumni who have a diverse background. So academically, athletically, the graduation rates of each one of those schools is over 92%. One of the things that caught my eye when I was interviewing for this job back in 2019, I studied every one of the universities across the country. And one of the things that jumped out about USC and UCLA and even the market of Los Angeles is that they're the largest section of Big Ten alumni other than in the Midwest is in Los Angeles. And there's so many opportunities that exist across the country. And so I've spent a lot of time, even before I came to the Big Ten, once I accepted the job in the Big Ten, and even these last couple years, always analyzing each and every school and what it means just for college athletics, what it means to the Big Ten Conference, and to make sure that anytime we have an opportunity to add incredible value, that we are prepared. So a lot of the work that we've done on any expansion, potential expansion we've done it multiple years ago, and then we're always in a perpetual state of analyzing the goodness of fit for any institutions that would come into the Big Ten Conference.
Okay, we're gonna go over here, and then we've got one more after that.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Steve Hellwagon with 24/7
Hi, Steve.
Sports Columbus. It seems like this wave of expansion kind of hinged on a couple of things that made it so that you could, for lack of a better word, forsake your regional base here in the Midwest and go national. The ability to add more Big Ten Network subscribers in California, and the 10 p.m. Time slot for football that the Big Ten's never had before. Just how big were those two factors in this decision? And if you want to share a number on what the existing schools are going to realize as a benefit annually, just a ballpark figure, feel free to do that. But are those things going to drive future expansion as well?
I mean, it could drive future expansion, but one of the things that you said, again, back to what I said earlier, I always ask why and why not, is I think sometimes later time zones on the West Coast, people looked at it as a negative, and I always looked at it as a positive. So for us in the Big Ten we're in 4 time zones. We will be in 2024, East, Central, Mountain, and West. And so now we'll be able to provide content all the way from the morning into the night and lead into some really incredible programming. So I think the value of being across 4 time zones for multiple reasons is really important. We haven't finalized the financial impact. And ironically, this probably will shock you, the numbers and finances associated with it are typically the last thing that I kind of consider and analyze. It's important for me from a business standpoint, but from a decision-making process standpoint, always look at all the other reasons why. Because if all the other reasons make sense, the finances will take care of themselves. So I'm looking forward to building, a brand to be fortified and strong from Los Angeles to New Jersey and everywhere in between. So it'll be an exciting time, busy time for these next 2 years. And thank you for all the work that you do.
All right, folks, I apologize. That is going to wrap up our session with Commissioner Warren.